Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I am Stephanie Bree. It is Friday. It's time for a 3-day weekend. That means I'm going to be partying this weekend. I've got a lot of plans, and one of those plans is to go to the video game museum because it's my birthday coming up this week, and I'm so excited. I'm going to be celebrating my 40th birthday. But one of the things I'm doing besides going to the video game museum is I want to buy myself a video game for the PlayStation. I'm trying to decide. I have a PS4. I'm trying to decide which video game I want to buy. And one of the games I was thinking about getting is the Cowabunga collection, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Cowabunga collection. It includes all three of the mainline NES games. It includes Turtles in Time for the Super Nintendo, Hyperstone Heist for the Sega Genesis, the 3 Game Boy games, and the 2 arcade ROMs. It's a beautiful package. It's lots of games. But then I got to thinking about this. Why would I spend $40 on a pack of ROMs I already have? I already have ROMs of all these games. And then that got me thinking about the ethical dilemma of emulation. You see, when it comes to emulation, there's some muddy waters when it comes to the legality of emulation. There's a lot of gray areas I'm not going to get into because I'm not a lawyer and I don't want to upset the algorithm. But what I will say is this. If you already have access to certain ROMs, there's nothing wrong with paying for quote-unquote legitimate copies of games, even if you already have, I'm not going to use the word pirated them, but let's say you've obtained them else through other means. I'm going to give you an example. I started downloading ROMs onto my PC, my Compact Presario, back in 2003 when I first discovered emulation. I had a MAME emulator, I had an NES emulator, a Super Nintendo emulator, a Sega Genesis emulator, a Game Boy emulator, and a 32X. Well, the Genesis emulator emulated 32X and Sega CD, so I had emulators for those too, and I started downloading games for all those systems. I started downloading ROMs. This was back when ROM sites were more accessible, and it was a little bit easier to get access to ROMs. We're not going to talk about the legalities. It was muddy then, but they were freely available, so they was, grab and go, have fun. And there was a lot of misinformation on the internet at the time, so I downloaded a lot of ROMs thinking that it was legal, thinking that it was perfectly acceptable. And so I experienced emulation before, I experienced emulation through piracy before I experienced legitimate emulation. In 2006, I bought a Nintendo Wii, and the Nintendo Wii, as you all know, came with a channel called the Virtual Console in the Wii Shop store. If you went online, you could download ROMs of games, and you could play them through emulation that was built into the system. And so you could emulate Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, TurboGrafx 16, Neo Geo, Sega CD 32X. Well, I don't think they had 32X, but they did have Sega CD, some, if I remember correctly. They definitely had Sega Genesis and TurboGrafx and Turbo CD and Neo Geo, so I know they had those. And then, of course, NES and Super NES. And I downloaded a bunch of ROMs. I paid money for and bought games that I already had already downloaded. These were games, the ROMs were games I downloaded, were games I already owned. Most of them were, a lot of games that I already bought. I had a big collection of games. I had Super Nintendo games, I had Sega Genesis games, I had Game Boy games, I had Game Boy Advance games, I had Nintendo DS games, I had PlayStation games, N64 games, I had GameCube games, I had a big collection of games. I had multiple hundreds of video games. So I didn't see anything wrong with having some ROMs at the time. Now, I was still perfectly okay with buying games that I already had. Even though I had Super Mario World on the Super Nintendo, I still bought Super Mario World on the Game Boy Advance. Even though I had Super Mario Bros. 3 on the NES and Super Mario All-Stars, which gave me access to the 16-bit enhanced Super Mario Bros. 3, I also had Super Mario Advance for Super Mario Bros. 3E on the Game Boy Advance with the e-reader. So I did that, and when it came time to download it again on the Wii, I paid for the access to the ROM, and downloaded it again. And when it came time to upgrade to the Wii U, I paid again to transfer the ROM from the Wii to the Wii U. So I've given Nintendo multiple hundreds of dollars over the years for ROMs. So I don't have a problem downloading a ROM I've already paid for multiple times and playing it on my laptop. That's accessibility. That's ease of use. I don't have a Switch right now. But, if there was like a Netflix style gaming service, like a Game Pass for Nintendo consoles or for Nintendo games that you could get on PC, I would absolutely be subscribing to that. Absolutely. So I got to thinking about all of the ROMs and emulation and downloading and stuff like that and piracy and everything, and I realized, why would I spend $40 on a pack of ROMs that I already have? I bought most of those games on cartridges, physical cartridges, and when I had the physical cartridges, I downloaded the ROMs. I downloaded ROMs of games I didn't have cartridges for, but it was my understanding as long as you had the cartridge, you could download the ROM. Now, obviously, that's a technicality that I don't want to get into the exact legality of, because what is and what isn't legal is, like I said, it's murky and it's hard to say. Distributing ROMs is illegal. Giving them away is illegal. Doesn't mean downloading them is illegal, and it doesn't mean playing them, having them, or using them is illegal. That's where things get a little tricky. If you can obtain them yourself without downloading them or distributing them to other people, you're in the clear. The DMCA says you're in the clear. How you go about doing that is your business. But once you have the ROMs on your computer, they're yours. They're freely yours. They're yours to do with as you please. So I've already obtained these ROMs, and I have them on my computer, and I can play the arcade version of TMNT the arcade game. I can play Turtles in Time. I can play the Super Nintendo ROM. I can play the NES ROMs anytime I want. So that got me thinking. I've already downloaded some of these games, as many of them as I could, I should say, on the Nintendo Virtual Console, and again on the eShop when they were available on the eShop. So how many times do I have to buy a game? How many times do I have to pay for a game before I say enough is enough? I've already bought it enough times. It's like I buy a movie on VHS. If I want to upgrade to the better picture quality, I'll buy the DVD. If I want to upgrade to the high definition, I'll buy the Blu-ray. Once I bought the Blu-ray, I already have the movie. I feel like if I want to download the SD copy of it as a backup, the DVD copy, a lower quality DVD copy of it, I should be allowed to do that. Right? Wrong? I don't know. That's murky. That's where we get into the muddy areas. That's when you're starting to talk about piracy. But I've already bought the movie on Blu-ray. I've already bought it on Laserdisc. I've already bought it on VHS and on DVD. I'm not going to buy it again. I'm not going to buy a digital copy of it. So how do I get a digital copy of it? There are methods. There are methods that aren't illegal. You just have to know how to do those things. So I just decided that I'm not spending my money on a game that I already have. I'm not going to spend my money on a game I've already played. I'm actually thinking about buying Grand Theft Auto 5 as a game I'm thinking about buying. I'm also thinking about buying another game. I don't want to say what it is. If I buy it, I'll reveal what I bought. But if I don't buy it, then I'll have nothing to reveal. But I am seriously considering buying Grand Theft Auto 5 because that's a game I actually kind of want to play, and I don't have the means to play it right now. And I've never owned a Grand Theft Auto game before. Well, that's not true. I've owned a few in the past, but I don't currently own any Grand Theft Auto games. And 5 seems to be the most current one, besides Grand Theft Auto Online, which I have no interest in because I don't play online games at all, hardly at all. I shouldn't say at all, but hardly at all. I play Minecraft online from time to time, and I play No Man's Sky from time to time with my girlfriend, but other than that, I don't really like to play online games. And I don't play games that are online exclusive, except for Guild Wars. I play Guild Wars from time to time, and World of Warcraft from time to time. Games like that, massively multiplayer online RPGs. I play the Final Fantasy 14 online. I don't like to play those types of games that very often, though. So yeah, I would definitely consider getting Grand Theft Auto 5 because that's a game that I've been contemplating a lot. I've been wanting to get a game. I want to get like a modern game, a current gen modern game for my game console because I don't own any current gen modern games. I got No Man's Sky, which is pretty modern, but most of the games I have are like retro compilations, or like franchises. Well, okay, Grand Theft Auto is technically a franchise, too, but I'm talking like Mega Man games, Castlevania games, stuff like that. I have Diablo 3, but that doesn't even really feel like current gen. That feels last gen because it was a PS3 game that just got ported to the PS4. So even that doesn't feel like current gen. Okay, and technically Grand Theft Auto 5 was a PS3 game that got ported to the PS4 as well. I think, or was it made for the PS4 and then they ported it to the PS3? I'm not 100% sure on how that worked out because I know they had Grand Theft Auto 4 on the PS3 and the Xbox 360. Anyways, I'm thinking about getting Grand Theft Auto 5. There is another game, I don't want to say what it is because it's one that if I break down and buy it, I'll do a video telling people I bought it. If not, if I get Grand Theft Auto, it'll be Grand Theft Auto. Other than that, I don't plan on buying anything else. And I'm definitely not going to download ROMs, and I'm not going to buy games that I've already downloaded the ROMs for. So if I have a ROM on my computer, I'm not going to download the game of it. Now, this pertains to cartridge games only. I don't emulate PC games, and I never have. I have good old games for that. I will buy the games for that. I've always been willing to buy games for that. I even multiple times bought Doom. Multiple times. I have multiple legitimate copies of Doom. I've never pirated Doom, even though I've had it on every system I've ever owned. I've never pirated Doom, and I never will. So I don't necessarily, and I say with a caveat here, necessarily believe in piracy, but I believe there are certain circumstances where what could be classified as piracy are acceptable, depending on the circumstances and depending on technicalities. So there you go. That's my video for the day. Thank you. Stay cool. Please subscribe, leave a thumbs up, and don't forget to give me money on patreon.com/StephanieBree. Stay cool. See you later.